Good morning from Higher Will Real Estate, where we are once again pleased to bring our weekly market report to you. Let's begin this week where we do each, and that is by reviewing last week's initial jobless claims. If you looked at yesterday's report, 898,000 initial jobless claims yesterday. A disturbing 4-week trend of those numbers getting worse, bucking about a 6-month trend of those numbers getting better. Now, why is that happening? Most would argue that it's because the effects of the stimulus package 1, we'll call it, are wearing off and they're hitting Main Street. Unemployment benefits are getting less, support is getting less. Now, will we see a stimulus package 2 from Congress to buck that trend and reverse the numbers? If you've been following this report the last 8 weeks, my prediction is no, we won't until after the election and probably not until January. We'll talk more about politics later. What's interesting about these numbers, however, is how they don't really align with what we're seeing here at Higher Will Real Estate in terms of hiring. If you've seen our flow, search flow, we have seen improvement in key sectors. We've seen and have hospitality operations roles, development roles in hospitality, office, and retail, all coming back to us alone in the last month. And I can also see from my competitors, other search firms, those jobs are coming back in development and acquisitions. We're not completely healed, but they are returning. Our overall workflow here at Higher Will Real Estate is busy with the capital B. We have operational roles in all asset classes, development roles, as I mentioned, acquisition roles. So we're getting busier and getting busier in the last month, which is kind of not aligning with what we're seeing in those weekless jobless claims. Now, it could be that because our business is more geared at the executive level, that executive level jobs are healing, where paying to more working class positions is worsening. Don't know. But we're certainly seeing a trend, and it's an interesting trend. Maybe it's a continuation of how Wall Street and Main Street often aren't on the same page. Let's go back to politics. And I have to gather myself because it's a topic that I hate. If you know me or listen to my videos, I have equal disdain for both parties. I have complete disdain for our two-party system and the dysfunction that Washington brings to all of us. However, we need to swallow hard and talk about it because it's important in our sector. Now, there's basically 3 outcomes in the election next week, or excuse me, next month. I wish it was next week so it'd be over. But it was basically 3 outcomes. Let's talk about a red wave. Most people think that's not going to happen. I agree. The pendulum certainly swings in this country, and we've seen it for the last 50 years, probably will continue to see it. So I don't think we're going to swing to a Republican sweep. Let's take that off the table. The 2 likely outcomes are either a Democrat sweep of both chambers of Congress and the White House, or split election. Let's talk about a Democrat sweep. What will that mean for our industry? Certainly, if you've been watching and investing in real estate in the last handful of years, you'll see that the Sun Belt in Texas have been outperforming the northern cities and the coastal markets. Everyone knows that. Was the SALT legislation years back a key player in that, or is it just a natural trend of shift? Who knows? If the Democrats take control of Congress and the White House, will they reverse that policy? Will it retard growth here in Texas and the Sun Belt and encourage growth in the northern cities and the coast? Perhaps it will. Will they raise taxes? Will that slow investment? Will that retard the growth of the real estate sector across the board? Perhaps it will. Or maybe they'll pass some legislation that'll stimulate it. Maybe an infrastructure bill, maybe some more affordable housing and opportunity zone type legislation that stimulates the market. Who knows? What we do know is if we see a split election, we'll probably see no change at all. Better or worse, business as usual. We probably won't see a big shift in the northern cities and coastal cities catching up to the Sun Belt. That'll probably remain for the next 4 years. You probably won't see any giant infrastructure bill because unfortunately no one wants to work together in Washington. It's all about fighting and dominance. So we probably won't see a major infrastructure bill or any major legislation that really improves anything. So we kind of have two choices. A variability of a Democratic sweep, which could be better, could be worse. If it's a split election, we probably see business as usual. In any event, I, for one, I'll just speak for myself, will be glad when this election is over because I hate talking about it. Now, let's go to two important issues. One, you personally, if you are in the market, you are challenged, threatened, intimidated about the stability of your job, please contact jim@hirewell.com for a confidential discussion to see how we can help you. Two, and most importantly, what I want you to remember, when it's time to hire, it's time to hire well. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Stay well.